Hey everyone, Dennis and Aaron from Allied Productions, and we're in studio today. We're prospecting some new work for a client that we have coming up, and we just wanted to experiment with some styles, and so we saw this great graphic of an exploding sandwich. So we're gonna try to do our best to recreate it and show you guys how to make this very unique stylistic shot.
Which I think it's a fun opportunity. It's certainly nothing we're inventing here, but I'm sure if you play around with product photography, you've seen many versions of this. Folks will do it with pasta, they'll do it with sandwiches. We kind of wanted to do a spin on this. We have, like Dennis said, we have some product work coming up that is sort of a whole spring catalog that we want to be able to give some different options in addition to the work that we've previously done for this client. And so through that, we wanted to go through and just provide a couple of different options for hero shots, some exciting stuff that may be a little bit different than what they're expecting to see in the sphere that they normally work in. With that also being the case, part of our studio days, we always end up getting lunch in the middle of the day, and it seemed like a pretty good opportunity to combine those two things into one activity here. And with both Dennis and I being, well, in one way or another, vegetarian or somewhere along those lines, I thought it was a good opportunity to put together something that would be something I would want to eat too. A lot of times when you see a sandwich like this, it's 15 layers of roast beef, and sort of the thought is always that's where you're going to get your texture, that's where you're going to get your, savory appeal.
Yep.
So to add a wrinkle, an allied wrinkle to this problem is we're going to sort of take on a different type of sandwich than you might normally see.
So now that we have the game plan in place and we know what ingredients we're going to get, the shot that we're looking for, time to head to the shop. So we headed out to the Bridge Street Market, picked up some tomatoes, peppers, mixed greens, avocado, red onion, and fresh mozzarella cheese.
We ended up implementing a lattice work in between two apple boxes, and with a little bit of weight on the top of them, ended up being a pretty effective solution. It is possible to composite a good amount of this type of work, but for our purposes, we wanted to do as much of it in camera as possible and limit the edit to removing just the fishing line from the scene. The lighting setup we used for our exploding sandwich photograph used 2 strobes and then 2 LED tubes. And the 2 strobes we're using today are the Flashpoint Explorer 600 TTLs. The first one that I have that I'm using for the key light, I have with a 60-inch Photex soft lighter 2, which is just a classic parabolic soft lighting modifier that I use quite often. You can see here that I have it on just a slight angle, and when I was setting up for the shot, I actually pushed it a little bit off of this white panel here. I didn't want too much direct light on it. I wanted to be able to feather it and then create a sense of shadow between the sides and the way that I was backlighting it. You can see the backlight I used, the other Explorer 600 with a beauty dish. For our fill light, we used what we will often use for our video projects. So it's 2 of the 4-foot Quasar Science LED daylight balanced bulbs. Everything I have, I'm shooting here at 5600 balanced out, so it's nice to just fill in sometimes with a constant. Sometimes can make focusing a little easier if you're in a darker environment, as we sort of were here. I wanted to create that sense of an environment, but have it not be too far into ultra bright kitchen feeling, but sort of more of a den type of sandwich afternoon lunch feel. As you can see, we ended up using fishing line between 2 apple boxes to create our lattice work here to have the floating sandwich work out for us. And then it's just a matter of staging around that, how you envision this working. You can get as involved with it as you want and make it look like it's something that's actively happening. I've seen where this has been done where you can use pasta and sort of be stirring that and it's going up into the air too, which is a nice addition to it. For our purposes today, again, it's just sort of a demonstration of one of the things that we can do. So we didn't want to go too crazy with it, to just come up with something that we thought would be cool. So that's the setup. It's pretty simple. And that wraps up our Exploding Sandwich Studio Day. Thanks for hanging out with us today while we put this together. And as you can see, with a lot of product photography, a good amount of time spent in the setup can save you a lot of time in the edit. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna have a quick little recap, a quick play through how I did the edit on this photo if you're curious about any of that. So thanks for spending the day at the studio with us. Looking forward to the next time.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa.